I'm Kevin Callahan, and I'm the owner and general manager of Honda of Jasper. The investment we made in renovating our facility is a statement in our belief in our product, our people, and the Jasper community. The confidence we have in the Honda brand made doing a remodel an easy decision, because when you invest in your business, you invest in the community and the people that live there. Watching our business grow as Jasper has grown shows us we've made the right decision.
Welcome back to Coffee Time. Get you another cup of coffee. Enjoy the rest of the program today. Thursday mornings will be Mr. Danny Cain, Walker County Extension Office. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here this morning.
I understand you're going to bring just a little bit of rain this weekend.
Man, we could sure use it. It's getting quite dry out there.
It's going to rain.
And statewide, there's worse places actually than here.
The whole state's under a fire alert, I think.
Fire alert, and it's. Conditions are getting worse and worse, with these spring winds, and
Northwest Alabama is definitely under a fire alert.
So we hopefully, we won't bring in any storms or
That's
whatever,
right.
but we could certainly use a little rainfall.
Yes, sir. All right, what's the Extension Office got going on?
Yeah, well, this is kind of a special week for us actually, and we'll talk about a lot of the stuff we have programmatically going on, but throughout the state of Alabama, this week's from Monday through Friday. This week has been designated and by state legislature and other bodies as Alabama Extension Week, and it's just kind of a chance for us to kind of because a lot of people are not familiar really with what is extension and what do we do and how does all that help us and those kind of things. So we're trying to get our story out there a little bit to allow people to get more familiar with us and what we do. And so I thought we would start off just kind of with a little brief history lesson. I'm kind of it drives my kids crazy at home, but I'm kind of a history buff and I enjoy all that kind of stuff, but we won't dive too deep into it. But we'll go back, we'll take a look at actually three really quickly legislative acts that brought about what we do today in extension. And it started off a long time ago now, back in 1862.
Come on.
And
wow.
And that was the passage of a federal act called the Morrill Act. And of course, if you're familiar with a little bit of history, we had a very famous war that was ongoing
War was wide open.
That's it, 1862. And so what the Morrill Act actually did was, in each state, it established the land-grant college system. Okay. Up until that point, college was basically kind of an elite type thing where they taught such things as Latin and philosophy and religion and other such arts as that. And so the passage of the Morrill Act, which created land-grant colleges, and basically what it did was it established an area of land within each state that each state could then use. They could either establish that college there on location, or what a lot of them did actually was they sold that property and used the funds to build colleges in other places,
right,
with the goal of being more of an educational college experience for more common folks, where we taught things like agricultural and mechanical arts and even some of the military. That's where a lot of like the ROTC programs came from, was through the land grant colleges. And that was signed into law by Abraham Lincoln. So he, that was a tough time back then, but we at least, I think, got one thing right about it. And of course, the land grant colleges are, Auburn University, of course, is a land grant college, and and it's basically a lot of the SEC schools that we're familiar with, Tennessee and Mississippi State and Georgia,
Texas A&M,
LSU, and all of those are land grant colleges. Right. South Carolina or NC State, actually, not an SEC
what was
school.
Auburn when they established that? What was that called?
Originally, back in the 1800s, as it started, it was actually the East Alabama Male College. Okay. And
1800s.
Yep, it goes back that far, and then they had a name change. They started calling themselves the Alabama Agricultural
That's
and
right.
you know,
That's
or
one I
Auburn
remember.
Ag and Mechanic School,
Yeah.
and so then from that became Auburn University.
Good
then,
deal.
and so there was a lot of transition in there, a lot of improvements along the way. But that was where our land grant schools, and all 50 states and territories have a land grant college. They further went on in 1890 and passed a kind of a follow-up to the Morrill Act that established your traditional historic black colleges, Alabama A&M, for
Yes,
example.
yes.
So there's also one of those in each state as well. So that was how our colleges got there. Now, so we've got a lot of education going on, particularly in things like agriculture and mechanical arts and things like that. So as a follow-up to that, we determined there was a need to do research. If we're going to teach something, then we're going to have to make sure that what we're teaching is current with science, right? So we had to do research. So in 1887, signed by this is a good story, signed by President Grover Cleveland. And I can remember one time when my grandfather, this is a sidebar story. Everybody that knows me knows I love sidebar stories. Okay, so I got a lot of stories. But one of our college assignments was to get with a grandparent if they were still living, and we had to ask them certain questions, basically to interview them. And so one of the questions that I asked my grandfather was, what was the first president that you remember? And so, for me, it would have been about Watergate era. So Nixon, Ford,
Yep.
and there. My grandfather's response to that was Grover Cleveland.
Wow.
Was the first president that he remembered.
I don't remember him or when he was around.
And so that was right around the turn of the century.
Okay.
And actually he was very very similar to what President Trump has done now. He was a two-term president, but a split term.
Split term.
Yeah. So there was a gap in between his first and second term. Is the interesting thing about Grover Cleveland. So that was called the Hatch Act, and what the Hatch Act did was it established the research and basically what we would call now the research and extension centers. Okay, the experiment stations we call them, and so they were charged with actually doing research work, and whether it be variety trials or pest control or any of those type of things would happen at the experiment stations. Then in a little bit later on, so now we've got the colleges doing education, on-campus education. We've got research being done in the background, but we have no way to get, unless you enroll and go to college.
I got you.
There was no way to get that information out to you and I who could use it. So that was when the act that actually began the extension service at the time was established, and it's called the Smith-Lever Act, and it was signed by Woodrow Wilson in 1914 is when that came around. So that act established the extension services, whose charge was then to take the research being done on the experiment stations and the education being done on campuses and to get it out to the general public that could use it, And so they did that in a lot of ways by on-farm demonstrations and workshops, and now if you fast forward into today's world, we got all the social media and those type venues to get there's everything just in our office we're doing a lot of newspaper work, a lot of television work. We've got a staff person doing podcasts who does a horticultural podcast, and so we're on all the Facebook and and all those kind of things to reach out to audiences wherever they may be. And we still do those standard things, those workshops where you come to the extension meeting. We learn how to grow tomatoes, or we learn how to grow backyard fruits, or how to how to control weeds in pastures and all those kind of things.
Pond management. Did you got
pond
one
management.
coming up?
We got that coming up. Thank you for mentioning that, by the way. That will be coming up on May the 1st,
Yeah,
by
that's
the
right.
way.
But that is a good class. A lot of people
It's wonderful.
really need that.
It's wonderful. You would be amazed how many small, and we're not talking about Smith Lake kind
Yeah,
of
that's
kind
right.
of
Pond
ponds.
management.
We're talking about like home recreational.
That's right.
What I would call, what I grew up calling a farm pond.
2 acres, 3 acres,
or less than that.
or
even.
less.
Yeah. 2 acres would actually be a pretty large,
big pond.
Yeah. So we're going to do a workshop on the 1st of May, talking about stuff that we do.
Yeah.
On all those questions that I get about pond management, how to control the weeds in my pond, how do you do, how do you avoid some of the problems by constructing your pond right? What type of species or fish do I stock in the pond, and what rate do I stock in there? Do I fertilize and lime it? All of those kind of questions, and we're going to go over every bit of that and more too. Problem animals within a pond. There's
The beaver problem.
beavers and muskrats, and even otters sometimes can be a problem in home fish ponds. So we're going to talk about those as well. But a lot of other things going on with extension because of these 3 acts working together, probably the first and foremost one that most people recognize when they think about it, and our term used to be the county agent's office.
That's
Everybody's
right.
familiar with the county agent's office.
That's what we called you.
And so now the appropriate term with our office is the extension office. But that being, we are basically the extension arm of Auburn University in our case. So we extend all their knowledge and research and stuff, hopefully to get folks' questions answered, and to the general charge is to improve quality of life through research-based information. And that's what we do in a nutshell. But locally, most people that are familiar in any shape, form, or fashion with what we do is familiar with our 4-H program. That is our youth outreach program. And so Miss Becky Becky Persons at the office is our 4-H staff person, but she is in every single Walker County and Jasper City schools to some extent, from county line to county line, every one of them. And she also works with homeschool groups and special interest clubs, and we have well over 1,000 enrolled 4-H'ers that are actually in a club. We also have many more in addition to that who receive what we call enrichment programming. Means they're not in an official club, but they do receive 4-H programming through the schools. So all totaled, we're up somewhere around 1,500 countywide with our youth reach.
Now, does every extension office do 4-H?
Yes, everyone will do. Well, to some extent, will have 4-H. It looks different in different counties because of the school
whole
system.
state, basically.
Some are completely in school, some are out of school. Some don't have, or not fortunate enough to have the number of schools that we have in Walker County. But 4-H is in a presence in some way in all 67 Alabama counties.
Oh, good.
And with just a few exceptions, we got some positions open right now statewide, but every county has a 4-H person. Okay, and that was that came out of a strategic planning type recommendation, is that we needed to, as opposed to doing 4-H regionally, we needed county-based 4-H programming, and so that was a very positive thing that happened. But and so our just here just this week with our 4-H program, Tuesday night we were in the office doing our chick chain production meeting. We got 20 families involved in chick chain. We've got kids involved with the hog project we call Pig Squeal.
That's right.
We have, I'm working currently with our forestry judges, our wildlife judges, or those natural resource programs. We were very fortunate this year. Walker County has 3 statewide 4-H ambassadors. First time in our history we have 3 young people who excelled so much that now they are statewide ambassadors, and so they have just done a wonderful job.
Super.
A lot of other stuff, local programming that goes on at the Extension Office. Most everybody's familiar with our Master Gardeners.
Yes,
and,
what a program. They just had a great sale.
Absolutely. There was a lot of people came out for that. They had their plant sale, and they had some educational materials and stuff, and They were there, and I was talking with Sandra, who was one of our master gardeners that's very, very active, and she said they got a lot of questions, and
I think
had a
that's going to
great
become
day.
an annual event.
I suspect that it will, and just knowing this group of master gardeners, it's going to be done, and it's going to be over the top. It's
Yes,
going to be
sir.
done extremely well. Those guys just do such a wonderful job, and they're actually also involved in a program they call Lunch and Learn.
Didn't know
This
that.
is completely as a master gardener type outreach program, but every third Wednesday they will be from 12 to 1 at the Jasper Public Library, and each week they will do a separate topic. It may be pruning or lawn maintenance or growing herbs, or each week has a separate topic. Those are free to the public. You don't have to be a master gardener or in the Master Gardener Association to come. Those are free to the public. You come, bring you a sack lunch if you want to, and just enjoy, learn, and ask questions. But those are going to be held every third Wednesday, 12 to 1, throughout the entire year. So that's going on. You know, we've got a great beekeeper club that does all kind of beekeeper education, and we've got, each fourth Monday of the month, they will meet at the office, and there's anywhere from 25 to as many as sometimes as 40 or 50 that come to some of them just to learn about bees. We don't really have bees, but they learn about pollinators. Some are active beekeepers, so we do that. We do a lot of work with foods and nutrition.
Yes. You have
Susan,
a staff person on that.
Susan Hill actually comes over from. She's one of our regional staff, but comes over and she does things like Serve Safe, which is a certification course for food handlers, restaurant owners and cafeteria workers and those type things.
I don't think a lot of people realize that y'all do a lot of that state education requirements at your office.
That's right. And for a lot lower cost than what a lot of other places that you would get that. She also does a cottage food law certification, and those are for small, what we call cottage food enterprises. If you're doing baked goods out of your home or those type things, then
bed and breakfast.
Possibly they would definitely need the Serve Safe.
Yes.
And cottage food. We have a lot of people that make like baked breads and pies and cakes and things like that. And so cottage food law, they have to have that in order to be able to do that. And there's some other foods that they can do. There's some that they can't do. And that's important to learn as well. So we do. We've got a staff person, another one of our regional agents, who works a lot with our senior centers around and has done programs for our senior citizens, identity theft, for example, and budgeting. We've got one. She does a memory program, called Memory Matters, and so they, it's trying, and I keep telling her I have every bit of good intention to go in and participate in that thing. I keep forgetting it, but she does a great job, and that's a very popular program that she does. We've got another staff person, Elaine Softly, who works mostly in like health and nutrition, and she does a lot of work with like diabetes education and nutritional programs for diabetes, and vaping is another great program that she does with some of our youth centers and things like, and even through court referrals, she'll work with those kids who end up with some problems because of vaping in schools and whatever, and so she does a great job with that. Cade Grace, who is our agronomic crops agent, has been he goes all over the place. I don't know how he does what he does, but he's been doing a lot of, like, for our row crop farmers, the variety trials of corn, wheat, cotton, soybeans and other things. He's been very instrumental in what they call the row crop short course, where they do an educational, basically almost like a college class for row crop growers. He's just finished this week. He did a farm safety program over with the local workshop there. We've got quilter groups meet in the office once or twice a month now, and to learn the art of quilting, which is kind of a bygone type art, and it's really wonderful because my mother was very involved in quilting. We do a lot with forestry and natural resources. We just finished up a forest health workshop. We'll do follow up in August with a professional logger management where they get those certification points to be PLM certified. This also in extension has been declared the year of the invasive species. So we're doing a lot of invasive species. We're invasive plant species and animal species, even some disease pathogens which are invasive type things. So I mean, we're involved in in so many different things. And I really wanted to pull this up. We're out of time, so we're not going to have time to pull this up. But here's my challenge to everybody to get familiar with what we do. If you can go to our main extension webpage at www.aces.edu, and you can click on calendar.
Okay.
And there is a list statewide of all the extension programs going on now. They don't all pertain to Walker County, but you can there's a filter button on there, so you can hit the filter button and you can select those that only pertain to Walker County, maybe not housed in Walker County, but that are within the Walker County area, to narrow it down a little bit. And there is a ton of things out there that you can participate in. People always ask us, what do you do? Well, this is where I send them. This is what we do.
Good deal.
And
all right, what's your phone number?
You can reach us at the extension office at 205-221-3392, or you can stop by and see us. That's a great. We love to see walk-ins come in and or reach out on the big old World Wide Web at aces.edu or our Facebook page, either one. And as I leave, I'm going to. These are some little things that we have done up for Alabama Extension Week. So I'm going to leave you, Matthew. This is an extension cap that you can proudly wear on the golf course somewhere. Here, and this is, I think, one of my favorite items. Is very useful. Is a chip clip. I wished I would have been the one who would have invented those, because I'd be doing something a lot different than being a county agent right now with the money those things bring in.
All right, Danny.
And here's you a good publication on all the stuff that Extension is doing out there.
Thank you much.
Appreciate you having us.
See you
Thank
next
you.
week. Don't leave us. We'll be right back with more Coffee Time.